Ohio University football is off to a 3-0 start and pretty much playing perfectly. Hopefully tonight we keep the show rolling like they are.
But not only that, we've got volleyball, we've got soccer, we've got field hockey, and much, much more. I'm Ben Mitchell.
And I'm Bobby Levine.
And this is Ohio Sports Zone. Welcome into Ohio Sports Zone, and we will jump into it right away and get out on the volleyball court where the Ohio University women's volleyball team is off to a great start under head coach Dion Webb. They are 10-3, including a 10-1 record at home, 3-2 on the road, with a 5-0 record on neutral ground. This team has been playing very well. Let's catch you up what they've been doing so far, starting with Friday, September the 18th, where they went down and played against Florida Atlantic and got the win in 3-1, led by junior outside hitter Mallory Salas and outside hitter Jamie Kasiorek, who each had 11 kills. This was their first win over the Owls in program history. And then on Saturday, they got two big wins over Florida Gulf Coast, 3-1, 3-1 each. Jamie Kasiorek again coming through with 18 kills and nine digs. This volleyball squad looking very solid thus far.
Absolutely. Off to a 10-3 start. As you said, the defense has been rolling for the Bobcats. The last 3 weeks, we've had 3 defenders for the Bobcats. MAC Player of the Week, Karen Bull this past week and Meredith Ashley the last 2 weeks. Right now in the East Division, Ohio University and also Miami are the only 2 teams above 500. So they can keep rolling right now until they get to the conference play and the conference tournament, which is right around the corner. Now in the Bennett rankings, they have Ohio University ranked 23rd in the nation, just ahead of Kentucky. Now that's not the NCAA one, but it's great seeing other people finally take notice in Ohio University Bobcat volleyball.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams and players starting to respect this squad. And how about Karen Bull leading this squad by example, the senior, who pitched in a match-high 8 assisted blocks and had 8 kills in that win over Florida Gulf Coast on Saturday. She has been a menace all year, like you said, bringing in that MAC East Defensive Player of the Week, her 3rd of her career. So far on the year, she has 19 total blocks, 19 kills, and 0 errors. You can't stress enough how big that is to not have any errors on this team. Errors are a very important part of volleyball, as it is with, as it is with all sports. Errors are crucial, and Karen Bull is proving her worth with no errors so far. And on the season, she has 63 total blocks, 6 solo, and 57 assisted. She has been leading this team. And then you got Jamie Kasiorek with 164 kills. That's 43 more than anybody on this team. She has been an offensive presence so far, and these 2 ladies are leading this team to a very good record so far.
Now, hopefully the Bobcats keep it up. Coming up this Friday, they end up playing Bowling Green at 7 p.m. and Saturday they play Miami of Ohio. So 2 huge games to start off the tournament. Now we're going to flip scripts here and go with Ohio soccer, women's soccer. They started off on a very rocky road, 0-5. The last 2 games they've turned it around. They end up beating Robert Morris 3-0 and coming back and beating Xavier in Cincinnati 2-1.
Yeah, that Xavier win was huge for them, getting their 2nd win in a row and getting a little positive momentum heading into MAC play. That game against Xavier was a 2-run victory for the Bobcats, and you had Holly Harris and Stephanie Rowland each getting goals for the Bobcats. That's their first victory against the Musketeers since September 5th, 1999, so you'd think this squad was eager to get a win over this Musketeer team. The Bobcats went up 2-0 in the 58th minute, and then Xavier came within 1 goal in the 80th, but that was all they could muster. Ohio ended up winning the game 2-1. Ohio ended up registering 12 shots, and Taylor Smith, what a job she did behind net. She started her 2nd game. She let up 1 goal on 16 shots, so she was very well behind the net.
Absolutely. The offense needs to step up. Right now, Alexis Miletsky and Stephanie Rowland are leading the team with 4 points, but they have some big games coming up. Again, this Friday at Buffalo. They go on a little road trip. at 7 p.m. and then come back and play Akron at 12 p.m.
Yeah, and there's a lot of players who need to step up for this team. Stephanie Rowland, like we talked about, has 2 goals on the year with 4 points. She has 11 shots on goal. And then Hannah Jaggers has no goal so far, but she has 13 shots on the net. She has been very involved in the offense. And then when you get caught up in this goalie issue, there have been several things with this Bobcats goalie squad that the coach, Aaron Rodgers, has had to correct. He started with Erin Burkett in the net, who's had 245 minutes played on the year. She has led up 2.59 goals against average. And then he tried Vane Corbata, who came in, who's been giving up 2.61 goals against. But then insert Taylor Smith, who has played 180 minutes. She has a 0.5 goals against average, as well as 8 saves and a 2-0 record. This is the girl that could lead this team going forward, and Coach Aaron Rodgers has more than enough confidence in her.
Well, good luck to the women's soccer team. Now, to flip the last one here, we'll talk about the field hockey team. They are off to a 3-4 start. This past Sunday, they lost to Ohio State 3-2 in a nail-biting loss. This Saturday, they go to Ball State, and hopefully they can get better. They're currently the second-place team in the MAC, right behind Miami, who is 6-4, and they're the only team above 500 in the MAC. So the team needs to improve to hopefully make the tournament and win, and hopefully go to the playoffs.
Yeah, we wish them all the best in MAC play. We will take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will be talking a little Ohio hockey. Don't go anywhere.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
We're back here with Ohio hockey. Now, this past weekend, the Bobcats got started out winning the first 2 games against John Carroll. They're off to a 2-0 start, have moved up to the 4th ranking in the nation. They beat John Carroll 9-0 on Friday and 11-1 on Saturday. Ben, what did you see out of them?
Well, I don't know what Coach Hogan was feeding these guys, but they were ready to go. This team came out from start to finish, all 6 periods in this series, and dominated John Carroll. Like you said, on Friday night, they got that victory 9-0, and you just saw in the second period, John Carroll's wheels slowly start to fall off as that offensive attack for Ohio just smothered them. They could not get the puck out of the zone. Ohio University's offense just continued to pressure John Carroll into mistakes, and that's where you see that 9-0 loss on Friday. And then when you think, the coach for John Carroll can correct and adjust, Ohio comes out on Saturday and wins 11-1. I mean, the scoring just keeps coming. And of the Bobcats, the 25 Bobcat skaters who ended up playing, 19 got a point, and then you had 5 freshmen get their first point. And how about freshman forward Brian Lubin coming in on Saturday getting a hat trick? I mean, you can't pick out any weaknesses of this series. This team was on fire from start to finish, and they looked very, very solid.
Yeah, when you score that many goals, it looks like a video game numbers. And the team has no players right now in the negative spot in the plus and minus, which is incredible. Now, last year, the goaltender was a huge play for the Bobcats. What did you see this past weekend, and what do you see forward coming up in the season?
Well, Coach Hogan decided to go with both goalies this weekend. We asked him before this weekend started what he thought about the goalie situation, and he said he didn't really know yet. He was going to decide game time basis. He decided to go with Aaron Alkema, who was basically his prime goaltender last year, and he did very good. He had 10 saves, didn't give up a goal, and then he decided to go with Ryan Helshin, who was pretty much a 1B kind of goaltender last year. He came in when Alkema was battling certain injuries, and he played very well as well. He had 8 saves and gave up a goal. The problem was this weekend, Coach Sean Hogan couldn't look at these guys very accurately because we were playing a team like John Carroll who only registered 14 shots. I mean, the shots this weekend were 94-14. I mean, you can't get a good look at your goaltenders if the puck is always on the offensive side. Obviously, that's a good problem to have, but this next weekend, hopefully Eastern Michigan provides a little bit more offensive pressure so we can better look at the goalies and the defense as well.
Absolutely. The last key game Ohio University played was against Minot State in the playoffs last year. Unfortunately, it was an early exit. What has to happen for them to get farther in the playoffs and make a run and actually make a name of themselves like they used to in the past?
Well, I think it comes down to consistency for this team, and you have a lot of players coming back who can do a lot of damage, starting with this first line who didn't lose anybody from last year going into this year. Michael Harris, Joey Breslin, and Patty Spellacy are all back, and they combined for 11 points in that opening weekend. Michael Harris is supposed to be the big-time goaltender, or goal scorer, excuse me. He's 2 goals away from his 60th career, and he didn't get any goals last weekend. That just shows you how much depth this team has. And between these three, you had 5 goals, 6 assists, a +4 rating for all 3 of these guys. You know, last season, these 3 were leading the team in points with 36 and 28 apiece. So all 3 of these guys are going to be expected to lead this team. Michael Harris has the C on his chest now, so expect him to be more of a captain figure, mentoring the young players who we saw this past weekend have a ton of talent and can grow into players who are going to help this team compete past what we got last season with Minot State.
Absolutely. Now, coming into this weekend, as you said, a big series against Eastern Michigan. We play 7:30 on Friday and also 7:30 at Saturday at home at Byrd Arena. How's the crowd been a factor this year? I know, obviously, when you get out to such a big lead, the crowd can die down, but it's awesome to see an offensive attack like we have seen so far.
Well, we saw the effects of the crowd opening weekend, and that's just another factor that Ohio has playing at home is Byrd Arena and that crowd. And they just get on opponents right away. It is all started by Gang Green, who hounds opponents in the penalty box, who hounds the opposing goaltender into mistakes. The entire crowd gets into it every time the goal is scored. I mean, you saw the Bobcats team up 10-0, and the crowd was still into this game. It just shows you how intense that Byrd Arena crowd is. And Eastern Michigan last season being 9-30-1 doesn't exactly have that experience coming in playing at Byrd Arena. So I see another lopsided series for the Bobcats, but hopefully Eastern Michigan can continue to test our defense and our goalies.
Well, thank you, Ben. Now, up next, we're going to have John Kosis live with football talk in a huge series coming up against Minnesota this weekend. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm John Kosis alongside Brendan Cope, a wide receiver for the Ohio University Bobcats. Brendan, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. The Bobcats are 3-0 this year, marking their best record since 2012. You came off a big win against Southeastern Louisiana last week. You caught a touchdown pass in the game. How does it feel to really be getting more explosive in your sophomore year?
It feels great.
Thanks, man. Yep.
I didn't see you there. Ever wonder what really happens in the world? Ever wonder what the media is keeping from you? Well, look no further than AVW's News Time for all your answers. Ohio University's most reliable source of unreliable news. All news, all the time, none of the facts. All made possible by AVW Productions. You could trust us. We're professionals.
Welcome back into Ohio Sports Zone, where we'll be talking all about Ohio football, and we are now joined by John Kosis, who we have a very special segment now where we'll be breaking down some of the plays from this past weekend where the Bobcats beat Southern Eastern Louisiana 35-14. John, what'd you see?
Hey guys, so Ohio really attacked through the passing game, and as always, their defense looked great. Through 3 games this year, you know that you can depend on the defense to do well, but that's exactly how Minnesota plays to their strengths. Minnesota plays off of a cover 4 defense. It means they have 4 guys covering receivers. Each one of them are going to be in a zone covering about a quarter of the width of the field. Basically what that means is that the Ohio football team's really going to have to take advantage of every inch of the field. And we'll take a look at the tape real quickly to see what they do here. First, you'll have Brandon Cope lined up. He is all the way up at the top here, and he is going to just basically run a straight route. He's going to make a double move that's going to fool the cornerback. The safety, there's only one back because this is a cover one. You're not going to see that too much in Minnesota, but he's going to go towards Sebastian Smith, who's down at the bottom of the screen. Once you see the play, you see he beats him off the double take, and bam, right away, that is a 63-yard touchdown that gave the Bobcats a larger lead than they already had in the third quarter, all right? So when you're seeing things like that, it's taking advantage of the outside. If you're seeing two safeties a lot of times, the outside's what's going to be open, the middle is going to be covered. Once again, the cover 4 is where this team is going to really find Minnesota's holes this weekend. And when you're looking at Minnesota's holes, it's going to be inside. You're going to look at tight ends like this next clip right here. This next clip is going to show 3 guys overloaded on the near side. Once you see those 3 guys over here, they have the bigger half of the field. They're playing against only 2 corners. When you see those 2 corners, it means one guy's going to be mismatched against a linebacker. The middle linebacker grabs the tight end. He's going to create space. At any given time, there was one receiver open for Darius Vick. He just chose a 25-yard pass over the top of the coverage there.
So, John, as you said, Minnesota is going to have a better defense. Obviously, Darius Vick had a field day. He threw for 327 yards and a touchdown. He had 1 interception, but Brandon Cope came out with 4 receptions, 101 yards, and 1 touchdown. How do you find the plays and the offense working for the Bobcats next week against a bigger, stronger defense in Minnesota in the Big Ten?
You mentioned that Darius Vick did have a great game against Southeastern Louisiana. Well, they're kind of a 1AA school, all right? You're going to see that type of play. The question is, can he consistently play well? Darius Vick this season has thrown for 550 yards. He has 30 rush yards as well, and he's completing 69% of his passes. He has a 4 touchdown to 2 touchdown to interception ratio. All is well and fine, but the question is, can he continue to play well against a better defense? And if you look at this next clip, it shows, see, you have Sebastian Smith down low. He's in one-on-one coverage against this cornerback right here. Once he goes off, Sebastian Smith has 3 inches on that corner. Vick throws up high, somewhere where the cornerback can't reach it. Basically, it's second down. He gets an opportunity. Am I first going to go off and just throw it up high and waste a pass, or am I going to give my receiver a chance to get it? Sebastian Smith has an opportunity there. He takes advantage. And all in all, Ohio goes out there and gets another touchdown. That's just excellent veteran leadership from the redshirt senior quarterback in Darius Vick there. Now, the offensive line definitely did well too, and you can see it here. When you play it, you're going to see there are 4 defenders that are on the line, and then you have 2 more in the box. The offensive line blocks very well, and then he's able to throw a 40-yard bomb to Pappy White to get them out from being pinned within their own 10-yard line. If the offensive line blocks that well against a bigger Minnesota team, because there is no doubt that Minnesota is a lot bigger than Southeastern Louisiana, then Ohio's going to be very successful because it's all going to start from the run game. If they can beat Minnesota in possession time, I really don't doubt that Ohio has an opportunity to win this game. The last play that I want to look at is Pappy White over here. Pappy White is going to be running all the way over to the far side. He's in motion, and there's an overload blitz on the near side. So that overload blitz is going to leave only one man that Pappy White has to beat, and he has extraordinary speed. You're going to see him break off, and then look, he's gone all the way to the house. Another big touchdown for Pappy White, and that is, again, a great read from Darius Vick.
He saw there was an overload blitz. He made sure that Pappy White got in motion early on, so that way by the time that Southeastern Louisiana had a chance to react, it was too late. And because it was too late, that means, hey, you got a touchdown there because it was a one-on-one battle once again, just as it was with Sebastian Smith. And after that one-on-one battle, you see Ohio 2-0 on those one-on-one battles, and 14 points are the result of that.
John, obviously, Coach Solich is going to do very heavy game planning going into every game, regardless of who the opponent is. Do you think there's any similar holes that he exploited in eastern Louisiana that he could exploit in Minnesota? Obviously, a bigger, much stronger Big Ten opponent.
The problem with this Minnesota defense is that they're led by seniors. They have 2 very good senior defensive backs in Eric Murray and Brian Body Calhoun. When you look at those 2 backs, they're guys who led that team last year in the Big Ten and in conference play to a very great defensive season. There's no doubt that they're going to be just as challenging. The question is, who's going to take over as the lead wide receiver? Will it be Brendan Cope or will it be Sebastian Smith? Because both those guys have the tools to succeed for Ohio. The question is which one is going to become Darius Fick's top target. He's thrown to Sebastian Smith a lot against Marshall, and he threw to Brendan Pope a lot in Game 1 and Game 3 of the season, Idaho and Southeastern Louisiana. Smith has 11 receptions for 177 yards on the year with 2 touchdowns compared to Cope's 239 yards for 2 touchdowns. Cope's been more of a deep threat. He's a guy that you're going to use as a playmaker, whereas Sebastian Smith is a guy that you're going to try and get those routine first downs. The 7-yard pass is the staple of the NFL, and if the Bobcats offense wants to run a pro-style offense, that's what you're going to have to do. Throw it 7, 8 yards to your tight ends and to your lead wide receiver. In this case, I think it's going to be Sebastian Smith.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. We're going to go right to a quick commercial. When we get back, we're going to talk about Ohio sports this past month leading up to now. We'll be right back.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Toucan Sam.
What's it take to get some hunky construction equipment up in here, huh?
I hope you're joking.
I think we need to follow the advice of Jesus and get down, girl. Go ahead, get down.
Please state your name and the role you're auditioning for.
Hi, my name is Christopher Walken.
What if it is Loch Ness Monster?
I mean, I got some shopping to do at Whole Foods, but I'll join in.
But to my captain. I'm right then. I knew I was right.
Welcome back into Ohio Sports, and we are now joined by Mateen Ozashik. We are now recapping sports around Ohio and how they have been doing this past month. Mateen, what do you got?
Thanks, Ben. For the month of September, the Ohio women's soccer team is 2-2, losing their first 2 games of the month to Marshall and Kentucky, respectively, but has won their last 2 games to Robert Morris and Xavier. Against Marshall, the Cats found themselves down 3-0 in the 49th minute, but Alexis Molesky ended the shutout, scoring her first goal of the season in the 68th minute. And in the 87th minute, Stephanie Rowland scored to make it 3-2, but in the end, the late comeback was not enough for the Bobcats. Against Kentucky, Ohio could not put the pieces together offensively, and they could not create any chances. In the second half, the Bobcats had no corners or shots on goal. They lost 3-0. The Bobcats turned things around against Robert Morris, winning 3-0. A big part of their success in this game was the fact that they took 20 shots, with 13 of those shots being on target. It was a similar story with Xavier. With 12 shots and 6 on target, the Bobcats beat Xavier 2-1, earning their second win of the season. Junior Holly Harris had a goal in both wins, and freshman Taylor Smith got the start for both games, recording a combined 8 saves and 1 clean sheet for the Bobcats. The Bobcats are currently 2-5 this season, but are looking to maintain their 2-game win streak as they travel to Buffalo this Friday to begin conference play.
Now, Mateen, who are your key players for the rest of the year, and how do you think the Bobcats can play going into conference play in the postseason?
Bobby, my key player for the rest of the season, it's got to be Taylor Smith. She's been outstanding. Every game she started for them, they've won, and she's been absolutely phenomenal. So I think we're going to see good things from her for the rest of the season. And I think the Bobcats had a tough non-conference schedule, but now that they begin conference play, I think you're going to see their record improve drastically.
Yeah, we wish them all the best of luck heading into MAC play. I have decided to talk about volleyball. We talked a little bit about them earlier in the show, as we did women's soccer, but just a little recap on what they did heading into this weekend. As I said before, their record was 10-3 on the season. Their season started August 22nd with the green and white scrimmage, and Deanne Webb, said interesting season that they're heading into. Last season they went 23-6, which included 16-0 in the conference. Obviously they blazed through conference play, but were stunned by Western Michigan in the MAC semifinal. Obviously this put a big derailment on their season. Then they came back this year. Their first invitational was at the Mortarboard Premier, which was on August 28th through the 1st of September. They got off to a big hot start in that weekend, beating Austin, PA 3-0 and Virginia Commonwealth 3-0, then suffered a very devastating loss to Purdue. But just when you thought their weekend there was going to be bad, they got a huge win against Kentucky, the number 10 ranked team in the nation. Coach Deanne Webb said he promised his players he would dance after the game if they were to win that game. They got the win, so he said he was very happy to embarrass himself. And that was their first win over a top 10 program since 2013 when they beat Oregon. So this team obviously has been used to beating these top 10 teams. They then headed to the Bobcat Invitational and once again started off strong, got up to 2 wins against LSU by 3-0, and Xavier beating them 3-2, and then suffered another heartbreaking loss at the end of that Invitational, which took place here at Bertaree, at the Convocation Center, where they lost to Michigan 3-2. And then the team went on to play in the Active Ankle Challenge. They got off to another fast start, beating Seton Hall 3-0 and then Utah 3-0. And then once again, couldn't close out the weekend on a high note, losing at Louisville, who hosted the tournament 3-2. Finally, the team got off to a very good start and kept it in the Florida Gulf Coast Invitational. They got a win against Florida Atlantic, like we were talking about, 3-1, their first win against that program since '99. They then beat Florida Gulf Coast 3-1, and then Florida Gulf Coast again 3-1. So the program is been very good in this offseason, but didn't generate that end of the invitational momentum. But they are getting off to a very good start heading into MAC play.
And finally, we're going to talk about Ohio football. John did such a great job right before the commercial. We couldn't really get into it as a whole here. Now, this is the first time since 2012 Ohio University is 3-0. So when they beat Penn State to start off the season and ended up going 7-0, ranked 23rd in the nation before they lost and fell to at Miami. Now, Ohio University plays Minnesota this week. This will be their second real test. 2 weeks ago, they ended up playing the Marshall Thundering Herd. A.J. Ouellette had a touchdown with 2 minutes to go to seal the victory, which is a great comeback after the Herd went 13-1 last year. And they absolutely demolished OU in Huntington. It was a very embarrassing game for Ohio University. Now, hopefully they come back this week. This is a huge game for Ohio University, hopefully getting back on track. The defense for Minnesota has been outstanding. Their offense, not so much. Last week they beat Kent State 10-7. Kent State is not that good of a team, and hopefully Ohio can come out there, put some points on the board, and hopefully win. Now, Ben, what is your prediction for this weekend if Ohio University come out, play their game?
Well, if I were to look at it from a football perspective and Frank Solich getting his team ready like he should for this game, it obviously is going to be a tough one going to Minnesota and playing there. I predict a low-scoring game because Minnesota likes to play that Big Ten defensive, aggressive style. So if Ohio has any chance, they're going to have to come in and play a very low-scoring game. But I think Minnesota is going to squeak a win out 17-13 over the Bobcats, just narrowly getting the victory.
See, on the other hand, I love Ohio University in this game. It's going to be very tight, as you said, very low scoring. The keys to winning is definitely defense. The defense has been outstanding this year for the Bobcats, holding opponents to 17.3 on average per game. Now, obviously, O-line has to push the defense line forward and get the running game going. And if they do that, I think the Bobcats will win a tight one, as you said, though, 20-17.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you for tuning in. Please join us next week, same time, same place. This is Ohio Sports Zone.